My name is Promise, and I'm a Rails engineer and a DevOps engineer at Venture Garden Group. Okay, so I was taking us on seamless deployments, Ruby application deployments with Capistrano. For the little time I have left, I'll just run through the slide very fast and just do the demo, so I wouldn't take a lot of our time. Okay. All right, so the slides are up. So I talked about having issues or concerns when you want to deploy your code to your server. You have a lot of options there, or probably you're out of budget, or you want a simple tool that can get the job done. You don't want to go through the process of the traditional method of pushing your SSH into your server and then pulling your code from GitHub or your repository and then starting your server. You want some kind of automation, but you don't want it. You don't have a lot of budget for it for tools like CircleCI, TeamCity, and other ones. So you can use a tool like Capistrano for that. So I would run through how you can get that up and running. So right now I would share my screen and just walk us through a demo for that. So I'm trying to share my screen now. Okay, so you can always send a message on the chat if you need clarity on something. I'll be willing to help out. Okay, I'm sharing my screen now. Let me know on the chat when you can see my screen. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yep.
Okay, all right, brilliant. Okay, so first things first, this is a project. This is just a little project that was scaffolded. So like I said, the project just does a simple thing, and what it does is, so the name is Capistrano app. What it does is just helps you create different books, and then the book has a title. That's what it does. So if I'm not audible enough, you can call my attention, please. Okay, so you have the app running, you have the app up. So the first thing you would do, you could go to rubygems.org and then you find Capistrano there. I already did all of that. So the first thing you do is you pick up the Capistrano gem. So like I said, the require false. It's because this gem is really not needed in my project. I'm basically using it in my command terminal, in my command line. So I don't need to write in my code. So that's why I turned off the require as false. And then you're also requiring Capistrano Rails. So Capistrano Rails gives you access to different rig tags that are specific for Rails, like migrations and other tags, bundler tags, and all. And then the Ruby env is about the Ruby manager you're using. So you can as well use RVM, which is Capistrano RVM. You can use that as well. But my manager I use for Ruby is RVM. And then depending on the Rails server you're using, I'm using Puma, so I'm also using Puma here. So depending on the one you're using, you could also use some other one. You could also use that of Unicorn, depending on the server that the app server that you're using. So you can see here that I'm using Puma, so that's why I'm using this. So the next thing you will do is you'll run your bundling stuff. So what I want to achieve through this is I want you to be able to get your project up, set up with Capistrano, and then be able to deploy. So you don't have to go through the stress of SSH into your server and trying to pull your code and all. Just from your command line, just from your code editor, you can deploy your code. So very quickly, all you do is so I'll just go through using Capistrano rules, so you don't assume that I'm just getting things off my head. So you go to the home page project. That's this. So like I said, this is just what I did. You add this to your development group. Basically, it's for development. You're not using it. It's not required in your production environment. And then the next thing you do is you bomb install it. So you install all the gems. So right now, this will install all these gems for me. So I'll have them installed. And then the next thing you will do is you would run your bundle exec cap file. So what it does is cap, sorry. What it does is it does a few things for you. So the first thing it does for you is it creates it creates your deploy.rb file. So I go there. Sorry. If I go to my app and then sorry, if I go to my config and I go to my deploy, so use these two files for me. This is based on the environment I'm trying to deploy to. If you have other environments, you can also create more files. This is where the configuration for each environment will reside. And then this is for staging. The configurations for staging will reside here. And this is your deploy.rb file. This is also needed for when you run this bundle exec cap install. So this is like this is like your general your general file of like your general config file for Capistrano. This is your general config file. Then if you need environment specific configuration, you would have to go under deploy and put it under the environment you want it to be. I'll walk through that. I'll walk through that as well. And then the other thing that it does for you, it also creates some other file, which is your cap file. So this is where you're going to require all the files that you need, all the gems that you need. So let's walk through that. So we are already requiring Rails here. We're already using the Rails gem, Rails Capistrano gem. So we are going to require Rails. So most of the time, when you run your bundle exec, which is this command, it generates this file for you. So much of what you hear is you go down and then you're going to uncomment this. So there are two things here. So you could just require this and then that requires these three, or you could require them individually. But for myself, I often like to require them individually. So you don't comment this or comment this and then uncomment this. So these all work with the Capistrano Rails. And then I also said I used the Capistrano RBMV gem, so I'm also requiring this. And then Puma as well, that's why I'm requiring this. There are also other things that you need to require for Puma, which is this and this. This helps you to manage the Puma as a daemon set using system D. I'll walk us through that as well. Then you have this. What this helps you do is it helps you require all the rig tags, the different tags that Capistrano provides for you. It includes all of them for you. Okay, so this is basically what you need to do here. So uncomment the necessary gems you need, or the gems you need and all here. Then the next thing you will do is you will go to your general config file, which is your deploy.rb file. So first thing you will do is you'll set your application. So my application here is Capistrano app. Then you're going to set your repo. So one thing you need to take note of is your repo should be of this format. Let me try to scale up. So I'll look at this project I put up. Okay. Okay, yeah. I just want to show us where you're going to get that. So your code. So you're not going to pick up this, but you're going to pick up the one for SSH. So that's what Capistrano uses. And then you're just going to give your Airbnb type as user, Then your Ruby type, your Ruby version. So two things. You can just come here and then you put the version as say your Ruby version is 2.7.1 or something. You can put that here, or you could allow it to read from your your Ruby version file. So over here, I already have this. So what this helps you do is you don't always have to change your Ruby version here. So once it's changed here, then it reads it here. So it's like dynamic. Then this allows you, this other one allows you select the branch that you want to work with. So that you want to deploy. So at the point of deploying, it will ask you which branch you want to deploy to a particular environment. So that's what this does for you. Then what this one helps you do is it allows you set the paths where you want to deploy your application to. But then this path must already exist on the server. Then linked files are basically files that you're not committing these files to your repository. You're not committing them to your repository, but you want them available on your server. So normally, files like your .env file, some persons would not want to commit their database.yml file to prod, sorry, to their repo. So basically, what they do is they they make it like a sample file. Then in their production, they put in the actual variables. And then there's another way of doing it where you you pass in environment variables into the database.yml file, and then those environment variables are defined inside your .env file. So in your production or staging environments, those variables are read from the .env file. So a file like this, you need to put it here. So what it does is it helps Capistrano always link to this file whenever you do a release. So it helps it link to this file. There's a shoulder for it where it will link to this file. So for each release, it's also gets to reach out to this file to get the information in it. You also have links directories like your logs, your PID files, your cache, and all. So these ones are also important. And here you specify the number of releases that you want. So why you need releases are probably there's an issue and you want to roll back to a particular release that works. You could specify that you want 10 releases to always be available on the server. So you roll back to probably the fifth backward release that works. Um, then this line of code here, what it helps you do is it helps you upload your master.key file. Basically, I'm not doing any magic. This is all here, so I'm not doing any magic here. So this is it. So it helps you push this. So normally what you would probably do is you go create this file on the server and then you have to copy your key, your master key and all into it. But with this, you're able to, it's able to upload your master key file to your server. So it drops it on the shared path on your server. I'll walk us through that as well. So that's really all you need to do for this your config. Then you go to your for now I just want to focus on one environment because of time. So you go to your production environment. All you need to specify, okay, this is the IP address for the server that I want to deploy to, and this is the name of the user. Most times for simple projects we use the deploy user, and then these are the roles, and then you specify the environment. So this is the production environment. Basically, that's all you need to do. And then the next thing you would do, so Capistrano requires that um, your machine is able to communicate with your server, that's the server I set up on AWS, without the need for a kind of password. So in other words, um, the public key for my machine should be part of the authorized keys on this my server. So let me just go through something like that and show you what I mean. I don't know. Okay, I'll be pretty fast on that, so you get what I mean. So let's say this is let's say okay. Sorry. Okay, so you have to go. So normally you'll need to generate your public and private key. Normally, if you have to do that, you use SSH keychain to generate it. So when you do that, the next thing you need to do is you cut this. You cut this. So when you cut this is your public key. So really, it's yeah, so you don't need to pay so much attention to protecting it. It's a public key. So it's your private key that is very important that you protect. So what you're going to do is you're going to add this. Oh, right. Okay. You're going to add. Oh, sorry. That's my public key. That's my private key. Sorry. Okay. I'll insert this. Sorry. Oh no, sorry. So it's actually the pub file that you're going to come up with. That you're going to be available. Okay, sorry, I'm choosing multiple screens here. All right, cool. So okay, so this is your public key. So you cut this. So you cut this. Okay, so this is what you will copy. You copy this into your server. So let me just SSH into this server. So I'll just show us what we need to do on that end, and I'll show us how to get the deployment done. So you will just SSH. So I already have my key as authorized. So I wouldn't need to pass in my password anymore. So I'll just copy this. This is the public key, and then I'll paste it. So it grants me access into the server. As you can see, I'm already in the server. Then um, so if I look under my authorized keys, so this is where you're going to pass in this your authorized keys. So if I cut my authorized keys now, you would see that my public key is available here. So this allows my local machine to communicate with my server without the need for authentication in the form of my what's the name in the form of my keeper or in the form of a password, because it's already authorized using its public key. So that's one thing you need to do. Else, when you're trying to deploy from here, when you're trying to deploy from your command line to your server, you would run into some issues. And then the second thing you would need to do is like this project I created, you'll need to go to the settings, and then employees, you should be able to add the server that you're deploying to. So in this case, I'm deploying to this server. So I should be able to cut this, the public key for this server I'm deploying to, and then add it to the known keys on this in this project. What this allows Capistrano to do, Capistrano will need to pull from this server, from this repository. So once you give it that access, it wouldn't need any form of password or kind of authentication to be able to pull from this repo. Okay, so those are the two things you need to do. Then the next thing you will do is you just run your cap deploy. So your cap deploy, so you do your cap and then you specify the production. So right now I'm deploying to my production environment, but then it depends on the environment you're deploying to. For now, I'm deploying to my production environment. Right here, I specified just two environments, but then if you have multiple environments, more than two, you can specify them there. So when you're trying to deploy, you just do cap production and then deploy. So deploy. So what this would do is it would run through. So these are the various stacks that are embedded in those gems. So they are going to run through. I told us that with this With this commented or uncommented, it will ask us for the branch. Right now, I'm just using one branch, which is the main branch. So you just do that. So first thing it will do it will do a git checkout. So it's going to check out based on the repository that you passed in here, which is this. Um, so right now it's going to run all this. It will create a release for you. It would set this. It's also going to set your symlink files and all. I would log into the server to show us what the deployment. It's just a simple application. So this would run, and then let's say you have some gems that you added newly here's a cap file, because in your cap file your cap file you already have this bundler. So this will also run some tags, checking if you have new gems that were added or if your gem log file was modified and all. It will check for that. You have Rails assets for your assets compilation, and then you have Rails migrations to migrate your DB. So all the manual stuff you're going to do when you log into your server and you try to deploy, this is going to do all of them. So you can see it is running through them and all. Then when it's done, it will tell you that your deployment was successful. Right now, I already set this up because of time. So, and then I'm running this on, if I go to my puma.rb file, the port I specified there is port 4000. So that's where I want to run my real server. So if I copy this, let's see. So if I copy this, I'll realize that my application is up. Although you'll have to, okay, this is more around DevOps. You'll have to ensure that your security rules are open to that port. That's like I'm using port 4000. I should be sure that port 4000 is open. There are other things though. So you could also pass. You could also make allow the application listen on port 4000, and you have an Nginx web server in France, and then request hits the Nginx web server, and then it is routed to your application. So that way you could just open up only port 80 for HTTP requests and port 443 for HTTPS requests. So that way you're not specifying a lot of ports. And then if you have other applications on the server that you want to deploy, Nginx can also be able to reach them. But then that way you're just opening up one port, which is 80 and 3. Okay. Yeah. So during setup, you run into some issues. Basically, one thing around automation is with automation you can get a task completed. Maybe probably an automation task could take you about 2 hours to get completed, but that would take up a whole workaround of say you're doing recurring tasks, say taking you 20 minutes each day. So that 2 hours that you took to set it up, that's the end of the time it's going to take you. Pretty much stuff you need to know around Capistrano. So as you can see, it's very fast. I don't have to log into my server to go set up stuff, which might take a lot more time for me, and then it's more tedious. So on the fly, I can make changes, and then I can also get back to deploy them immediately. Let me just show you what it looks like on this server. So this is my Capistrano app, and then so it does a symlink here. So the last release, if we go to the releases, it symlinks the most current release into this current folder. So this current folder just picks up, just symlinks to the most recent deployment or the most recent release. And then if you go back a bit, you could see those were shared. This is where you have your shared files. Those files that we talked about in our configuration for Capistrano. Okay, I think that is basically all around Capistrano. Then a quick note. Capistrano is I think it's a preferred tool for say small to medium applications. That's if you're using it for your deployments, probably continuous delivery or continuous deployment. But at some point, if you're running into enterprise applications and all, you would need more modern or more enterprise products like say Octopus Deploy, TeamCity, CircleCI, and other tools like the ones AWS provides, code pipeline, and all of that. Then a last one here is so if you want to learn more around Capistrano, you can go to capistranoarabi.com. You can learn a lot around it. You can also create custom rate tags for some other tasks that you want to perform yourself. These tags are Ruby tag, like they are written in Ruby. So if you're a Ruby developer, you can write them as well. And then another thing to look out for is if you also want to catch up on Capistrano more, there's a book called Reliably Deploying Rails Applications. So you can read up on this book. It talks about also integration with Nginx and Redis, how you can bring all this together and have your application up with Capistrano as your deployment tool or application tool. Okay, I think that is all from my end. I'm open to questions. Questions, you can drop questions or if you need some clarity, I would be willing to help out on that. Okay, yeah. Thank you very much. Okay, I have a few questions I didn't do, cause okay, so is it possible to generate new private key when needed? Oh yes, so you can always generate new private keys. You will just need to specify maybe if you want multiple private keys, you can specify a name, right? If you use like SSH keygen, it doesn't give you a name for it. So you can specify a name for the private key. That way, it generates a new one. So maybe you could use a private key for something, probably another operation differently from what you're currently working with. Okay, I think that is all I have here. Okay, yeah, thank you all. Okay, so I would also try to add a few things around the project so that like add some other things to the project so that you can just copy and paste code into your own projects so the amount of errors you run into wouldn't be so much for you, so you can just get your app up and running in a shorter time. Okay, yeah, I think that's all for me. Thank you very much.